We're hunting in Chama, New Mexico on one of our favorite private ranches. As thousands of elk migrate from the high country through this property on their way to the winter range. This week on Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics. Find what matters. CVA, it's just a better gun. Bergara, a passion for precision. Steiner Binoculars. Camo Restore, innovative wash for your outerwear. And by the new DeLorme InReach SE and Explorer. Stay safe, stay in touch, stay in reach.
Every year, we take at least one epic road trip. And for the second year in a row, we went down I-84 through Eastern Oregon, over the Snake River and into Idaho, across the Gem State and into Utah, from day to night and back to day. Through aspen-covered mountains and the rock formations of the Kaibab, we crossed into Colorado at Dove Creek. And then later that day, crossed the border into the land of enchantment and arrived at our destination for the late season elk hunt in Chama, New Mexico. Last year, I took my good friend Peter Pye in early December. It was frigid cold, and thousands of elk had already migrated through the property, but plenty were still around, waiting for the next snowstorm to push them into the next leg of their winter's journey. Peter's hunt ended quickly when a 6x6 bull stepped into an open meadow on the first morning of his hunt.
Thank you, sir. Good job.
Good job, Peter. Good shooting.
And after a few days of pursuing a wily bull that we had named Swayze, my hunt came to a close when the bull I considered a ghost finally made a mistake within rifle range. Now, we're back at the Garcia cabin. It's mid-November, and this year I'm joined at the ranch by some of my friends. All of us in search of the migrating masses of elk that pour out of the high country in southern Colorado's San Juan Mountains and pass directly through the property on their way to the winter range. Spread across the ranch are Keith Mark and Sean Michaels, Tombo Martin and Ryan Langerhans, as well as Rick and Julie Kruder, who are also joined by Lori Yunker from Burris Optics. Expectations are high, because fresh snows arrived as we rolled in, meaning the elk would be on the move. And we were all licking our chops for a piece of the action.
As the sun rises on the first day of Steve's hunt, he and his guide are up in the high country, socked in with fog.
I think they're gonna be moving slow this morning.
Yeah, because nothing had crossed really.
No, I think we
See what this fog does if it lifts out of here.
We drove in across this main road that comes all the way across the top of all these fingers that come up, and not one single elk across the road. So all the elk are down in the bottom feeding, and they come up these ridges and draws to bed in this dark timber that's up here. And they stay up there during the day. In the evening they go back down. So how we hunt here is we know the travel corridors, and we set up on the travel corridors, and we let the elk come to us and go past us, and we wait for the bull that we're looking for. Try and find a good one, pattern him out, get him killed.
We decided to move down into the lower part of the draw and set up inside this tree line. It gave us a better angle on the meadow that the elk were going to be moving up through on their way to the bedding areas. And it's there that I learned a real valuable lesson. Always pay attention, because you never know when some elk are going to show up.
This ambush spot's been pretty good. We had the 3 6-points right off the bat that we could have shot. They're just not quite big enough for a first day of the hunt. But I'm gonna jump over. We're gonna go back to where we wanted to hunt first thing this morning, what we call South Lake. And we're gonna see if there's anything coming up the bigger drainage now that the fog started to lift up out of here. Grab my gun and pack, hike back up around and get back over there.
When we come back from commercial break, Steve resumes his elk hunt as thousands of elk migrate into the area.
Follow Steve's Outdoor Adventures on Facebook and Twitter and keep up with all the action, as well as find out about some great giveaways that we have throughout the year. This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by ScopeCoat.com. I personally protect my rifle scope and valuable optics with ScopeCoat.
Rent a cabin to own it.
Chama is a small town located in northern New Mexico. A quiet town, it's known for the historic railroad, cattle ranching, and world-class elk hunting. Chama is where the high elk densities of Colorado meet the record-book genetics of New Mexico, and it's the location for this week's elk hunt.
We had a great morning hunt. It was just snowing and socked in, and the elk really didn't move very good this morning. We saw 3 bulls up real close. Nothing I really wanted today. The first morning of my hunt, I'm gonna be a little bit selective. But I think the vast majority, 99% of the elk, stayed low. They never did go back high. They bedded down in the oak brush. With the sun coming out, it's clear, crisp, cold. I'll bet we see a lot of elk tonight. I'll bet we see a lot of elk.
Steve and his guide drove up onto a high vantage point, set up spotting scopes, and glassed the area. And the elk were not hard to find.
Yeah, I think they're gonna come up. They'll usually hit where that one's bedded, and they'll go like this. It won't take them nothing to get here. Right here. We got elk right here.
Yeah, there's gotta be more. Yeah, there's a cow right there at about 115, 120 yards. There's elk everywhere. We can see probably 200 head about a mile away from us. We're trying to get an idea where they're going so we can get in front of them. Set up, let them come to us. It's hard to sneak up on that many elk, but it's not hard to let them come to you.
We had spotted all of these elk coming up toward us. Now we needed to maneuver around to get in front of them. So we headed out on foot, trying to get into position to cut them off and set up an ambush.
Oh, but we've seen 500 or 600 head of elk tonight. I don't even know how to count that many. Wow. Well, they were on the move tonight.
The elk fed through right in front of us. It was perfect. We had the drop on them. They were in easy rifle range, but none of the bulls were big enough. So we backed out of there and left them alone. And honestly, I can't think of a better way to end the first day of hunting. We drove back to the lodge and called it a day.
Burris Optics and the Veracity line of rifle scopes.
It's not that we haven't been seeing a lot of elk. I've maybe been a little bit too picky, but I just got a good feeling about today. Sun's coming up, it's crisp and cold, and elk are on the move.
The plan was to take the truck and drive through the lower portion of the ranch, stopping at vantage points to glass the meadows and parks for feeding elk. Working our way toward the top of the mountain where we would glass down the other side and look at some south-facing slopes. I had no idea how many elk we were going to see. We had just entered a place that they call Shippey's Gap. All of a sudden, right in front of us, there was a big herd of elk. So I shut down the truck and we got out to take a closer look.
There's a bull up here on the ridge near our truck. He's probably only 200 or 300 yards away, but in the brush. So I'm gonna get ready, sneak up here a little ways. We've got a pile of elk right in front of our pickup. Just a matter of going hunting. It's an amazing place. We've seen so many elk already. It's not even barely daylight. Nice bunch of elk out there. Just need a good bull to feed through. Got great spot. From up valley. Bigger bull with that. See him coming? Yeah. He's got elk over there. We got this whole herd right here coming down valley. We got a herd in front of us, one to our left and more to our right. That's a big bunch of elk. Wow. There's a lot of elk. That was pretty cool. There was a club horn. He had like a 4 or 5 on one side and a club on the other, just kind of small. I shot him if he was a big 6 on one side with a club. I mean, I could have easily filled my tag with a 5x5 there, but on a ranch like this, you can hold out for 6x6s. And usually hold out for big ones. So I'm gonna suit back up, head over here where Vernon's at glassing. He's spotting more elk. See if we can't find a 6.
Steve and Vernon continue across the ranch, driving short distances and glassing more elk at every vantage point.
Another 5x6. And a 6x4 that has character. And you'll never know how close I am to shooting that 6x4 because his main beam is like forever long. He's really a cool elk. I'm watching more elk over there ways.
Look for the new Steve's Outdoor Adventures app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or tablet. so that you can watch videos or book your next big game hunt.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics. Find what matters. CVA, it's just a better gun. Bergara, a passion for precision. Steiner Binoculars. Camo Restore, innovative wash for your outerwear. And by the new DeLorme InReach SE and Explorer. Stay safe, stay in touch, stay in reach.
If you'd like to book your own guided big game hunting adventure, give my office a call. I will personally take your calls, answer your questions, and help you book the hunting or fishing trip of a lifetime.
After looking at hundreds of elk and dozens of bulls, Steve and guide Vernon finally make it on top and start glassing the south-facing ridges. And it didn't take long to spot the bull Steve had been holding out for heading up the mountain.
We got a bull right down here. I'm gonna go get the spotting scope. It appears to be a pretty good bull.
This was the bull that I'd been looking for. He'd been down in the bottom feeding with the rest of the herd all night. And now he was feeding his way back up the ridge and was going to go over the top and bed in the oak brush for the rest of the day. So we moved in and got into position.
Turn that finger. We should go to the sun. Let's go down. Stay in the center. Hey, their eyeball is. They're looking right at us. Just hold on. We gotta go slow, quiet. They're already looking right. They're suspicious. They're about 800 yards away. They're on high alert, man. They're looking at us and working their way up. That's a big bull. We gotta close the gap. That's why I love elk hunting. He's got to turn. You sure? You sure you got him? Yes.
On him?
On him.
Wait.
I tracked this bull in my rifle scope as he made his way up the other side of the mountain, and I was constantly ranging him. And he was just over 700 yards when he finally stopped.
He's almost to come out in the sun. Got him?
Got him.
Yes. Jesus.
700 yards is a long ways. I practiced that shot. I have the right rifle. I have the right scope. I have all the experience. I just missed a really, really big bull. No excuses.
After reviewing the shot on film, Steve is certain without a doubt that it was a clean miss. And if you look real closely and we slow the video down, you can see the bullet pass just over the bull's back.
I decided right then and there that I was going to spend the rest of this hunt looking for that bull. We circled the mountain and we glassed their bedding areas. Vernon and I tore that ranch apart for the next 3 days looking for that bull. And we passed up a few dozen more bulls and even let a few good 6x6s go. Before I knew it, my 5 days was up and the hunt was over. It's been a great week. There are some people who might think that the hunt was a failure because I didn't wrap my tag around the antlers of a big bull. But I would argue that this might have been one of the best elk hunts that I've ever been on. I should have cut my tag on a massive bull. This is an amazing place, and that's why we book our clients to hunt on this ranch. In fact, if you'd like to book this hunt for yourself, give my office a call. I will personally take your calls, answer your questions, and help you book the hunting adventure of a lifetime. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week's show. But please remember to join us again next week when we bring you another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
This was the last hunt of the year for Steve, ending a long season. And while he had a long drive back home to Oregon, he made one last stop at his favorite restaurant in Kanab, Utah.
On our way down to Chama, it's a must stop in Moab, Utah to get fuel. And Los Albertos for the carne asada burritos.